Hi, I'm going to call this time Chit Chat, and you can always switch off because I know that not many people are interested in what I'm about to say. What fascinates me is the majority of Aikidoka are not interested in no sense's spiritual side. And I'm going to bounce around a bit with my conversation. I don't know at what point, I do read a lot about Osensei, but I also forget just as much. It gets very confusing. Some people have got every single detail about what Osensei done in his life. But I was interested purely in the fun I had on the mat training, and the last thing I want to do is talk about the religious side or the spiritual side of Osensei's Aikido. So I shouldn't really be amazed by people's reaction about, I'm not interested in that, I just want to know how to perform the techniques. But to perform them, you've also got to, in my opinion, be a little bit nutty, a little bit off the wall in your thinking. Because if you just think that Osensei's Aikido is going to be given to you, awarded to you by you doing good shihanagis and good techniques, then I'm afraid that you must be more disillusioned than I am or was at the time. I have a sort of a dividing line between choosing about what I think of Saito Sensei and Osensei. But Saito Sensei taught technical, and he said he put his life's work to showing Osensei's technical work. So that's really led us even more away from the spiritual side of Osensei's art. But we all want to be another Osensei, or I did at the time, and I would imagine that most people do. They will perhaps watch Osensei's films once they've got into Aikido after some period. They may have even been drawn to Aikido because of Osensei's films and philosophy. There's so many different facets to what makes us start Aikido, and those who've got my book will have read my introduction to it, and the last thing was a martial art that I wanted from it. Anyhow, it got me in there, and I'm still in here now, and it's still fascinating me. Excuse me. The religious side of Osensei, I don't want to go down that track because I don't want to start praying and chanting to the gods, the kame, as he says. And he called upon the kame to give him enlightenment. And this is where I'm really going. More and more people today, you may not all agree because you're from all different religions, countries, beliefs, but I'm having my say here, and I hope I'm not going to offend anybody by it. But religion seems to be dying out as far as vast numbers of people wanting to believe in a religion, to believe in a God or some form of God. I have a group of Muslims that I teach, and I really respect the way they take time out. You know, perhaps as soon as class is finished, they'll go to a corner and they'll all pray together. It's quite fascinating to watch them, really, because I'm thinking, why are they doing that? What makes them so committed? And yet, Osensei was committed. His daily life wouldn't be complete in the Iwama period of his life, where he, I believe, we all understand that that's where he created his Aikido. I'm not talking about techniques, I'm talking about the whole. It's a little bit like, we're presented with Aikido as if somebody's just presented us with a large, beautiful cake that's been made. We don't seem to be interested in how the ingredients were formed, where did they come from, the ingredients, how much trouble was it getting the ingredients, how long did it take to make the actual cake before it was put in the oven. People think that, like with children, they thought the modern day child, when interviewed in the UK, thought that chips come from the supermarkets. They didn't realise the thing called a potato is where chips come from. And they're not interested as long as they get the chips. Why would they need to be interested in the potato, how it was grown, what species it is, what makes better chips? They just know that they like the thin fries, the fat fries, the skins on the fries, cheesy fries, chili dip fries, barbecue dip fries. Yeah, we can go on. The same as the different gods, who do we choose? Well, we choose the one we like. Now, if you're a real firm atheist and you don't believe in any forms of God, then you can only be left with the technical side of anything. And it's there in front of you. There's the potato. You can chip it, boil it, smash it, or mash it, I should say. So you have the chance to do with it what you wish, if it's not already in the form of a chip. So you've already decided by holding the potato that you've gone back a few stages. And this is what I would like to talk about in this film. I did believe in God when I was younger, but perhaps that was because I had it rammed down my throat and I had to believe in a God. I was brought up a Catholic, went to a Catholic school where right next door was the main, largest Catholic church in the city of Cambridge. So really, it's a one-way motorway and you're steered down that motorway, and that's where you get convinced that there is a God and that only your religion is the right one to follow. A little bit like the Iwama Aikido is the only one to follow, not the Aikido one. And yet to me, the Aikido one seems more harmonious with keeping friendship, flexibility, and all the beliefs that Osensei wanted somebody to believe in. And yet Iwama appears to be the place. Excuse me again. I'm still getting over the remnants of COVID after about 6 weeks. So forgive me for struggling sometimes. The belief that in Iwama was the Mecca. That was where you got the fine technical understanding of Osensei's techniques. But if at the Hombu Dojo, the harmony, the flowing, the blending, perhaps that could be put more towards Osensei's religious desires for the world to become a more harmonious place, for people to get on, for the world to stop fighting each other and becoming one. None of us hope that we will be in the generation where life ends for the human race. All these dictators start pushing the nuclear button, and then perhaps not anything will grow even. It will kill all vegetation as well as living creatures. You just can't put your mind into thinking like that, can you? Every single thing is destroyed. I don't know whether it's just me believing, but I'm sure that somewhere in time, as rain falls and the rain with its nuclear waste in the atmosphere soaks into the ground and kills everything, I'm sure that somewhere the earth will survive and some greenery will come back. We won't be here to enjoy it. I don't wish to go there in my mind, and I'm sure you don't, but there will be a generation, either ours now or in the future, where this planet will be destroyed by stupid, ignorant dictators, because they have the power to do it. Like now, we have dictators going to war with people who are quite happy to live their own life and go their own direction. There's always been wars. There's wars ever since the First World War, Second World War, but there's wars going on around the globe now. Somebody wants to take over. The thing that you often hear is, well, if there's a God, why doesn't he do something about it? And it proves there isn't a God, because if there was, he wouldn't let all this devastation and lives be lost. If he really cares for us, he would save us. And also you hear, God will save us, just keep believing in him. And that's quite a hard one, isn't it, to swallow? God will save us. What part of us will he save if I haven't seen any? I haven't seen anything yet, have you? So therefore that makes me go away from what I call the living God, believing in the living God, spending all my life praying to God, who's going to come and save me, come and save the planet. When you have dictators who are here in the physical sense, the physical fingers to push the buttons, God and all of those who were killed and murdered and have gone before us in illness or just old age, where have they gone? And this will be the next film that I will be talking about. God is not in physical form that I know of, and no one's proven it yet. So I don't believe he can help us physically. I only believe perhaps mentally. But if I don't want to believe in God, then perhaps I can believe in, let's say, my grandfather, if I liked my grandfather, my grandmother, if I liked her. Perhaps I can even stretch out to believing in perhaps Osensi will hear me if I talk to him. But then I've got to start believing that there's life after death, haven't I? That makes me as big a wacko as those who don't believe that there is a God. Okay, thank you for listening to my Chit Chat, and Chit Chat 2 will be coming soon.